Back in the day, after a hard-fought match in the ring, wrestlers would just go to the bar and drink themselves silly, or every night end up with a new girl by their side. But today, the backstage landscape of wrestling has changed dramatically. Now the Wild West days are gone for the most part, and have been replaced by a culture much calmer and more reserved. As one of the biggest things that you would be likely to catch a wrestler doing during their downtime backstage nowadays would be playing video games. If you didn't know, many on the roster are avid gamers. In fact, so much so that Ric Flair once quoted it as jokingly complaining about how much things had changed, suggesting that in his day they were more likely to be playing poker than PlayStation. We for one think it's fantastic that gamer culture has infiltrated wrestling so much, as the lifestyle changes have probably increased wrestlers' health and careers by years, and engaged them more with the youth culture of today. But what about a wrestler's favourite video game? Let's look at that in today's video. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more videos like this. Number 1. Kenny Omega, Mother 3. Let's start off with perhaps the most well-known gamer in wrestling today. Kenny Omega is a full-on video game enthusiast, so much so that he is largely believed to be responsible for setting up AEW's Fyter Fest pay-per-view, which was held in coalition with the community effort Orlando Fighting Game event. This was thanks to his ongoing relationship with the event's promoter Alex Bayley, who even competed in a hardcore match with Michael Nakazawa at the show. The Best Bout machine has also littered many of his entrances, ring gear and signature moves with video game references in the past, most notably the V-Trigger, which is a reference to a game mechanic in the Street Fighter series. However, when it comes to his favourite game, Kenny has been on record professing his love for the Mother series, calling it his favourite series of all time, particularly the third installment. The Japanese role-playing game is legendary amongst video game fans and came to the West with the second installment under the title Earthbound. It's been noted for its humour and story, and was even an inspiration for South Park creator Trey Parker when developing his show. Omega has said that he played the game over and over and over again, with him and his friends trying to best each other in speedruns. He has also said that he goes back and plays the game at least once a year, loving how it portrays the contrast between Eastern and Western culture, and that he still cries every time he plays it. Number 2. Xavier Woods, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. If there's any current wrestler who can lay claim to being a bigger gaming fan than Kenny Omega, it's the host of the hugely successful YouTube gaming channel Up Up Down Down's Xavier Woods. The channel's title itself is a reference to the famous Konami code and features a large roster of WWE talent. He was even at one point able to arrange a Street Fighter battle between the New Day and the Elite on his channel, which marks the only WWE AEW crossover we have at this time. Xavier's fandom is no joke, and he's proven that by showing off his own life-size replica of Final Fantasy VII's iconic Buster Sword, but when it comes to his favourite video game, he has confirmed that it's none other than Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, we're sure the Sonic series needs no introduction, as it's one of the most iconic video games in gaming history, but suffice to say, it's no surprise Woods would list it as his favourite. Xavier has talked about how the game got him through times in his youth when he felt lonely and was being bullied. Being able to escape into a world where he could be a superhero for a while kept him going, and it's clearly been a lifelong love affair for him as he still loves the game to this day. In fact, showing his love so much, Xavier Woods revealed in an Instagram post that his SummerSlam outfits from 2018 were a shout out to Sega and its Sonic the Hedgehog series. Kofi Kingston sported Sonic's blue colour and Biggie took on Knuckles' red, while Xavier's outfit combined the previously mentioned characters with Tails' orange colour. Number 3. Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss and Bayley, Crash Bandicoot. It seems that these three WWE superstars have similar taste when it comes to games, with each independently naming their favourite video game series as the Naughty Dog platformer. The series was huge in the late 90s, becoming something of an unofficial mascot for Sony's PlayStation in the same line as Mario or Sonic, and it has recently enjoyed something of a revival following the release of the Insane Trilogy in 2017, which featured remastered versions of the first 3 games. Nikki Cross has admitted to not being a huge gamer after finding it difficult to get into, but when she started playing Crash Bandicoot, she found herself hooked, saying it was the only game she found herself putting any energy into. Her tag team partner has echoed her with similar sentiments, mentioning that she bought a Nintendo Switch to play the remastered version and found it a lot more difficult than she had remembered. As for the SmackDown Women's Champion, she has recalled hours of enjoyment playing the game as a child and her professed love for the Orange Bandicoot, saying that for her it's one of those games that never gets boring. Number 4. AJ Styles Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. Another video game fanatic, the phenomenal one is such a lover of games that he has an entire room of his Georgia home dedicated to them. It includes a copy of almost every modern and classic console, as well as a pirate's treasure of games, and AJ has stated that his favourite wrestling game of them all is Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. If you haven't heard of this one before, it's probably because it was a Japanese-only release for the N64, but given the amount of time he's spent in the land of the rising sun, it's no surprise the former WWE champion found it and fell in love with it. The game features wrestlers from both New Japan and All Japan Pro Wrestling, as well as other various Japanese promotions, and is said to have over 1,000 different move combinations available to players. A sad side note regarding AJ Styles is that his personal Xbox, which he got made to allow him to play while flying, was stolen from him at a WWE live event in Arkansas in 2017, but thankfully it seems as though the game is still in his possession. Number 5. Cody Rhodes, The Legend of Zelda series. Eagle-eyed fans will find this entry no surprise, as the American Nightmare has been showing off his love for the series for years via a carefully placed Triforce that can often be seen on his ring boots. The series took the gaming world by storm upon the release of the first title in 1986, influencing a whole generation of role-playing games, and it has only grown in popularity and critical acclaim all the way to perhaps the best game in the series, that being 2017's Breath of the Wild. Cody is such a big fan of Zelda that he's even tweeted out a list of his top 6 games in the series, listing his favourite as the Ocarina of Time, and he's appeared geeking out in videos on Nintendo's YouTube channel, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the series. Number 6. John Cena, Tecmo SUPERBOWL. John Cena may not appear like an obvious gamer at first glance, as the WWE legend looks like he would be more at home on the football field and playing a digital version of it, but he has spoken at length about his love of the American sports classic and the hours he lost playing it as a kid. The NES exclusive may not have been as familiar to European fans, but it was noteworthy in the States for being the first fully licensed NFL game, allowing them to use real teams and players. Cena has been quoted as saying that everyone who grew up in the 70s and 80s either has experience with the games or became a gamer, and he definitely fell into the latter category. In fact, he is such a huge gamer that he has his own top-of-the-line PC gaming rig set up at home, which he spends most of his time on now, playing games like Command & Conquer: Red Alert, having foregone console gaming for the most part. It seems that the champ has long since converted to becoming a member of the glorious PC gaming master race. And number 7, Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston and Ronda Rousey, the Mortal Kombat series. Another series that has grabbed the hearts of multiple wrestlers, the Mortal Kombat series redefined fighting games in the 90s with its memorable list of characters, move combinations and grisly fatalities. There was something of a controversy surrounding the game's inclusion of blood back in the day, so much so that it was even censored on some consoles and paved the way for the ERSB video game rating system to come into effect. The Viper and the former WWE champion are both huge fans of the series and even bonded over it back in the day. Also, former Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey has gone one step further than that, having herself immortalized in the game as she provided the voice of Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat 11. All three have stated that it's their favourite video game series of all time, and it's really not hard to see why. The game is endless fun and easy to get lost in for hours. Of course, there are plenty of others that we could have mentioned, such as Seth Rollins' love of Call of Duty, Sasha Banks' favourite game Perfect Dark, or Rusev and Apollo Crews' shared fanboying over the FIFA series, but those will have to wait for another day, because that's all we got time for today. Would you like to see a part 2? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling video game content.